Hi and welcome back to the channel on the college process. Once again, my name is Ed from Principia Prep, and today we're going to be going over the 8 biggest financial mistakes made on the FAFSA form. But before we begin, if you are new to the process and are looking for additional college content, please hit the subscription button down below. It will notify you of new videos when they do come out. As well as if you do join today's video, please leave us a like. It does help the channel. And in addition to that, if you have any comments or any questions, please leave them down below. We do answer any questions you guys have. Just put them in the comment box down below. We get to all your questions and answer everything you guys send us. As well as, if you are new to the channel, we do have a scholarship initiative this year. If you do have a senior for class of 21-22, our goal is to utilize as much of the money that we make here from the YouTube channel, from you guys watching the videos, James Russo Memorial Scholarship. We're hoping to get as much as $15,000 out to you guys in scholarship funds. And with all that being said, let's jump right into today's video, the 8 biggest financial mistakes made on the FAFSA form. Now, right to begin with, one of the biggest issues that I've seen over 24 years of doing this on the financial side, specifically when you guys are filling out the financial aid forms, is a lot of you guys try to be too honest. Now, what I mean by too honest is you guys try to put as much stuff in there, and in many cases, this stuff does not go on these forms. Now, of the 8 financial mistakes typically made on the FAFSA form, the number 1 mistake always is across the board is counting money that doesn't exist. And this is what I mean by counting money that doesn't exist. Let's say that you fill out the FAFSA form in the beginning of October, because that's when the form becomes available for senior parents, October 1st. And you're filling out the FAFSA form, and you get to the parents' financial section and it asks you how much you have in your checking and savings accounts. And in your checking and savings accounts, you know that day you have, let's say, $5,000. But in the next day or day after, maybe the next 2 or 3 days, you have the mortgage payment going out, as well as the car payment going out, maybe the braces, maybe some other things are coming out of the checking account. So let's say all the expenses you guys have coming out, let's say you have $5,000 in the checking account, but $2,500 is coming out for the house payment, $500 is coming out for the car payment, another $1,000 is coming out for the braces, the health insurance, so on and so forth. So let's say after all those expenses come out in the next 2 or 3 days, once they hit your account, you only really have $1,000 left. You don't have $5,000. So for this case scenario, what you guys want to do is you want to make sure you do not put that you have $5,000 in your checking account. You want to put that you have $1,000 in your checking account. That's what you want to do. And this is what I mean by being too honest. You're technically counting money that will no longer be there by the time they process this form in 48 hours. Now, the second biggest financial error made on the FAFSA form is counting your home, where you live. Now, I actually made a video for you guys right here. You can see it here. I also have it in the description down below, when your house does and does not count on the financial aid form. So if you want more insight about when properties do and do not count, please watch this video here. I talk about everything from primary home, multifamily homes, rentals, etc. But that being said, broadly speaking, on the FAFSA form, your primary home does not count at all. So the equity you have in your house does not go anywhere on the FAFSA form. So make sure when you're filling out the FAFSA not to make this big error. Now let's talk about the third biggest made error, counting your retirement accounts. Now, this happens often, unfortunately, especially on the FAFSA form when it comes to financial aid forms, because of the fact that the FAFSA form does have one retirement question on there, and parents, unfortunately, many times do not understand it correctly. The question the FAFSA form is asking you guys, how much did you contribute to your retirement accounts the previous tax year? The FAFSA question is not asking you how much you have in retirement. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a 401k, and in the 401k you have $100,000. And last year you contributed to your 401k, let's say $2,000. So then what the FAFSA wants to know is not that you have a total value retirement account of $100,000. What the FAFSA does want to know about is that you contributed $2,000 in the previous tax year. That's it. They do not want to know on the FAFSA form the total amount you have in your retirement account. Now let's go over the 4th financial mistake made on the FAFSA form. This is not utilizing the IRS data retrieval tool. Now, what many of you may or may not know, when you're filling out the FAFSA form, you need 2 logins to log in. One login for the student to start the form, called the FSA login, and the second FSA login to use as the parent halfway through your student's FAFSA form to be able to upload your taxes directly from the IRS. If you need help getting the FSA IDs, we also have a video for that right here in the description down below. I'll also link that as well to that video so you guys can go see that as well. You need 2 FSA IDs. The second one, the parent ID, is very important to allow you guys to upload your tax information. Now, the interesting thing is when you upload your tax information to your FAFSA, to your student's FAFSA form, it technically makes your student's FAFSA form 99% correct in the eyes of the financial aid office. So you want to do it so you don't have any glaring financial mistakes on there. Now let's talk about the fifth commonly made financial error on the FAFSA form. The fifth commonly made error is putting assets in the wrong sections and or double counting assets. Now what you're going to notice is as you're doing the FAFSA form, there's technically two different parts of the FAFSA. There's the student's part and the parent's part. And what will happen is the FAFSA will go back and forth between student and parent interaction. So you have to make sure you know what section you're in. One common error I've seen a lot of times is you guys want to get these forms done quickly, which I completely understand, and you guys go through the forms way too fast, and you don't realize you're double counting the assets. I've seen this often, where the parents and students are filling out the form and they put that they have $20,000 in checking and savings in the parent section and $20,000 in checking and savings in the student section because you're not realizing they're changing sections. What you're basically doing is double counting your money, which you don't want to do. And now the sixth financial mistake made on the FAFSA form is you guys try to use the wrong tax year. Now when you're filling out the FAFSA form, you can technically bypass the IRS retrieval tool and not upload your taxes and just manually plug in your numbers. And what some parents try to do is the tax year that we're in right now, they try to put that into the FAFSA, which is incorrect. You want to use, if you are manually putting in the numbers, the previous tax year. And then the seventh biggest made financial error on the FAFSA form is miscounting the household size. On the FAFSA, they're going to ask you basically three important questions about the household. Number one, how many people in the household? Number two, how many people going off to college? And then number three, how many exemptions do you have on your taxes? Now, what most people don't realize is the most important of those three questions is question number one. How many people in the household? Because the more people in the household, the more people basically drop down the amount you're supposed to be paying towards college because they look at it as more expenses you have as far as having more kids and so on and so forth. Now, this is what I mean by the biggest error, and this typically happens a lot when you have older students. Let's say you have a son or daughter who's 21, 22 years old. They're still living in your house, they're working, maybe they're starting their career, but they're still with you at your house, but they're not going to college, and maybe they're doing their own tax returns, and you think, well, they're not technically part of the household in the sense that we're not supporting them, but that is incorrect. They're still part of the household until the age of 24. So until your son and daughter are 24 years old, you still count them as part of the household in the financial aid forms. And then the eighth biggest financial mistake made on the FAFSA form, once again, kind of goes back to that being too truthful scenario where I indicated that you guys put way too much stuff on here. When it comes to the FAFSA form, if your student, so I'm talking about the student section specifically now for their assets. Let's say your student has saved up $4,000, $5,000, even $6,000 over the course of the last year or so, and they're looking to use that money to, let's say, go buy a car, and maybe a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, when they get their driver's license. The reality is, I would not put that on the financial aid forms, knowing that your student's going to be using that money in the very near future to essentially buy a vehicle or use it for some other situation. Now, all these things put together make the top 8 financial mistakes made on the FAFSA form. Once again, if you do have any questions about any of these topics or any questions in general, please leave your questions down below. If you notice from our other videos, we answer all the questions you guys leave down below. As well as if you do enjoy today's video, please leave us a like, as well as if you're looking for additional college content, please hit the subscription button. And once again, that being said, on the screen now is our contact information. If you have any questions or need help throughout any part of the process, whether it be financial aid or admissions, we do help families out with everything college related, financial aid forms, admissions, so on and so forth. So if you need help, just give us a call or shoot us an email. And other than that, thank you for watching today's video. Once again, my name is Ed from Principia Prep. Please, if you're looking for scholarship help, here we have the James Russo Memorial Scholarship video. Please watch that. It's very informative. It'll tell you how to apply